And we're back within the community. I'm Tiffany Kay, and today I do have a special guest with me. I have Captain Tydings with the Spotsylvania County Animal Control. Captain Tydings, how are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm excited to talk about this because the animal control is such an important part of our community, especially with all the animals we see out there, all of our shelters. So I want to give people an inside look into how exactly everything happens when it comes to shelters and rescues. So thank you so much for being here with me.
I'm glad to be here. And our department is kind of unique because we are actually part of the Sheriff's Department. We're a division off of the Sheriff's Office. There are quite a few animal controls now that are that way. Mm-hmm. Not everyone in Virginia is that way, but we are, and we're very fortunate. And what that does, it allows us to have more resources to serve the community and the animals.
And I think that's important because I don't know about you, but I see so many animals out there every single day, and it just it breaks my heart.
Well, it can, but the thing is that we're the voice for the animals is how we look at it. So, we have to be their voice because they can't fend for themselves. We got to take up for them.
So walk me through a typical call. If you get a call in saying, hey, I saw this dog on the side of the road, or there's someone in the backyard, it's a stray, I need animal control to come out here, what happens next?
Well, it just depends on the call. For example, this time of year, you're going to get a lot of calls for dogs in a vehicle. So it depends on where you're at and the weather, meaning Spotsylvania County, we have a ordinance against leaving your animals unattended in a vehicle if the temperature is above 70 degrees, allowing the inside to get 80 or more. And of course, on a 70, 75 day, especially in the sun, the car's going to be well over 80, if not 90 or 100. Yes. So we act on that. We can ticket people for leaving their animals in an unattended vehicle. If it gets to the point to where the dog is in heat exhaustion, then that rises to animal cruelty and another level, which is a class 1 misdemeanor, and we can seize the animal.
Okay.
Most of the time, it's not that severe. Depends on where we're at. We'll try to find the owner and say, hey, you need to get your dog.
Right.
Sometimes you go up to the window and they'll have water in the car or whatever, but it's still too hot.
Okay.
A lot of our job is not just passing out tickets. It is educating, because some people just don't know. It's they say, oh, I didn't know that was a law, or I didn't think about that kind of thing. So we're educators and enforcers.
And what would you say, besides the heat, is a couple of the biggest things during this time of year that people need to be educated on when it comes to their animals?
Well, you got to make sure they have adequate water, which means it's got to be potable, and it's got to be they got to be able to have it at all times, meaning it's there. Of course, food, and it depends on the type of dog or whatever. A lot of times, feeding your dog once a day is fine.
Right.
Of course, you get younger dogs or puppies and all, sometimes twice a day, and it just depends on the breed of the dog.
Right.
You want to make sure that they got adequate shelter. Now, if you leave your dog outside, that is fine, but you got to make sure they have a good dog house, that it's got to have a floor, and it's also got to be out of the sunlight. Some of these igloo dog houses are plastic.
Right.
So that's going to generate heat. So you got to think about those things. And if we get a call, we'll go out there and see if there are violations.
Okay.
And if they're minor violations, like I said, we educate.
Right.
I'll give you an example of what we've done before, too, is we get a call saying a dog's out there and it has no water. We go out there and we see the bucket. The bucket's knocked over. He's knocked it over with his chain. Okay. We'll get in touch with the owners and say, well, he keeps knocking his water over. That's where the education comes in. You say, get an eye hook and hook it, the handle to something so you can't tip it over. Or if big dogs, if they got like a 5-gallon bucket or a big bucket of water, you dig into the ground just deep enough to put the bucket in so it doesn't turn over. It's simple things like that. Yeah. And some people will say, I didn't think of that. Thank you. So, like I said, we will ticket, but we do more education than we do anything else.
And I'm speaking with Captain Tydings with the Spotsylvania County Animal Control. Now, let's go into a little bit of the nitty-gritty of the animal control. What hours and days does the department work?
Well, we are part of the sheriff's office, so technically we're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But my specific animal control deputies work from 7 to 11.
Okay.
After that, we have one of our AC deputies on call, and depending on the call, one of the patrol deputies that are working that night can take care of it. So we're always available one way or the other. And like I said, if it's a animal control specific that would need one of the deputies, they call him out.
And anybody can make a call during those times, or even if it's an emergency after hours?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. And what areas does the Spotsylvania Animal Control cover?
Well, Spotsylvania County, and also we handle the city of Fredericksburg.
Okay.
Now, the only difference is for the city of Fredericksburg, after 11 o'clock, their police officers will take care of the animal control.
Okay.
And if they have, they pick up a dog, they can bring it to our shelter. We have got, everybody's got access to get in, and we've got designated areas for intake to leave the animals and put the card on there with the information. And then the next morning, our shelter assistants will go ahead and take care of the animal and log it into the shelter.
Okay. And I've been over at Spotsylvania County Animal Shelter multiple times. Beautiful facility. So many animals, unfortunately, overrun with animals. But let me ask this. I know from the shelter, but does the Spotsylvania County Animal Control take all animals?
We do to a point.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll have to make arrangements, especially with livestock, things like that.
Right.
But we have had pigs in our shelter. We've had goats. We get roosters all the time.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
I'll be in my office and I'll hear crowing, and I said, well, we done picked up a rooster. Any kind of companion animals. We've had rabbits, guinea pigs, things like that.
Okay.
We have to make arrangements for some animals because we can't, take everything. Because companion animals is our main focus.
Okay.
Dogs and cats and rabbits, and we have birds every now and then.
Right.
And we've got aquariums. We've got plenty of snakes. I don't know if you've been over our lobby, but we've got the snakes for our education program and things like that.
I'll stay away from that part.
Yes. You're not the only one.
I figured. I was like, I can't be the only one who's like, no,
I
thank
used
you.
to be terrified of them, but now I handle them, and because you can't have your captain of animal control being afraid of snakes. So.
That's true. So more power to you, but I think I'll stay on this side.
but I avoid it if I can.
If you can,
but
I
if I have
understand that.
I'll take care of them.
No, I know you're talking about companion animals. What about nuisance wildlife? Do you handle all of that?
We do and we don't. If they're in the inside the house or like a attached garage or something like that, absolutely. But you're going to have wildlife out there, and if somebody says, I got a groundhog problem, I got squirrels, things like that, we will loan out traps. But we always tell people with wildlife, try to take away the food source, because 9 times out of 10, that's what they're coming for.
Okay.
If you've got your trash out on your back deck, you're going to get raccoons, you're going to get possums, things like that. So we try to educate, and we've got a wildlife number that you can call, because Game and Inland Fisheries, they handle the wildlife, but they do not handle nuisance.
Okay.
They will come and assist us, like with bears or something like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But they're not going to come out and get a possum out of your house.
Right. Right.
And that those things happen. So if it's in your house, we'll take care of it. If it's out in the yard, no.
And where can people find that number?
Well, everything's on the internet.
Yes,
now. You can
is.
just go right to our website. And all our information is on our website about our shelter, about the sheriff's office, and things like that. So they can go right on the website. It's www.spotsylvania.va.us.
And one more just nitty-gritty for this part. What are the shelter hours for anyone who wants to come by?
Okay, the shelter hours are from 8 to 4:30, Tuesday through Saturday.
Okay.
As far as adoptions and walking through the shelter, that starts at 12. And the reason being is because the shelter assistants have to clean, and it gets very slick back there, and they're moving animals and things like that around.
Right.
But a lot of the business can be taken care of up front. But if you want to go and look at animals, that's at 12 o'clock. Okay. We like people to make appointments if they can, especially if they go online and they see a dog that they're interested in. If they let us know, we can bring that kind of up front,
and
so
be
they
ready
can
for
look
it.
at things like that.
Okay.
But you can walk in and we'll get they'll get assistance one way or the other.
Perfect. Now, I want to get back to the shelter and adoptions and all of that in a little bit. But first, like I said, I'm speaking with Captain Tydings with Spotsylvania County Animal Control. Now, I know you pick up dogs and cats, but specifically for dogs, especially this time of year, can you tell us a little bit about what the leash laws are around the area?
Okay. First of all, for cats, we do not pick up cats unless they are injured. Cats are free roaming.
Got it.
We do have a community cat program, and we've got several of them in the area. And if anybody's interested in that, they can contact the shelter, and we can assist them with that.
Okay.
Now, dogs are different. Dogs have to be on their own property. We don't have a leash law per se. However, the owner has to be in control of the dog.
Okay.
So if you're walking down the street and your dog's beside you and you don't have a leash, but he's not running everywhere and going after somebody, that's fine.
Okay.
But most of the time, if you got them off the property, they should be on a leash. So they have got to be on their own property unless they're in control of the owner.
And I would say also just in general, sometimes you don't know what's going to happen around you or how that dog will react.
Absolutely.
So I think it is smarter to have the dog on a leash as well.
Absolutely. If you're walking your dog, because the dog could see another dog, and we have a lot of people get bit for that very reason, because of dog fights, and they're trying to get the dogs off, and they get bit. So it's best, if you're going to have them off the property, have them on a leash.
Now, speaking of being on the property, what are the laws, the recommendations behind having your dogs tethered outside?
Now, tethering, the law changed a little bit a few years ago. I'm a board member with the Virginia Animal Control Association.
Okay.
And we get involved in the General Assembly every year for the laws. And this was a big one with adequate space. So if the dogs are tied out, the tether has to be at least 3 times the length of the dog. And if it gets above 85 degrees or below 32, which is freezing, you've got to make sure that if it's cold out, that they're still away from all the elements, the snow or the freezing cold, and also the extreme heat. The law is very, very long with that. So what we do is that we look at the situation and take it for what it is there, and then we'll work through it.
Okay.
There.
So it's basically a case-by-case situation.
Yes. And if the dog is tied out and we can't get a hold of an owner, and we feel that it's could be in danger, then we will take the dog for safekeeping.
Okay.
If it's real cold, we very rarely do that, but we do have the authority to do that if necessary. We try not to.
Right.
But again, we're going to make sure that the dog is taken care of.
Of course. And earlier we were talking about dogs being left unattended in cars during this time of year, especially with the heat. Now, what is the protocol behind that? Obviously, if it gets above 70 degrees outside, the dog can't be left in the car because it'll be 80 or 90. Same thing when it gets cold?
Same thing when it gets cold. However, they can move around a little bit, meaning they can get out of the sun, or they can go into the doghouse to get away from the cold. Okay. Depending on the circumstances, we might say, hey, the wind is going in there, you get a flap or something like that. It just depends on the situation. Right. The law is not really black and white. It's, you got to take each situation for what it is.
Of course, it's a gray area.
Yes.
And of course, if anybody has any concerns, don't be afraid to call.
Absolutely. And if it's not a violation, it's not a violation, but we will check and make sure. And if it is a violation, we'll do one or two things. We'll educate and get it corrected, or we'll issue a citation.
Right. And I know your biggest thing, you were talking about how Spotsylvania County Animal Control likes to educate, number one. And are there resources that people can go to with the Spotsylvania County Animal Control to kind of, educate themselves on all of these safety tips that you have?
Yes, we've got a pretty good website. They can go on the website. A lot of our events that we have in the area, our division is usually representative. For example, we just had the Stars and Stripes this past week, and our division was there. And that is a good opportunity for us to educate. Also, my officers have a education program in the schools.
Oh, wow.
From kindergarten on up to high school. And our division, Sergeant O'Brien and our other AC deputies love to do it and are very good at it. And we'll put that on the website a lot on the Spotsylvania Facebook page when we have those programs. So we have a lot of that too.
And that's great, starting young, to teach them how to be around those animals.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. And you were just talking about events, so I wanted to bring it up. Are there any future events coming up that you guys would like to share for people to come on by?
Yes, we do, but I don't have them
That's okay. That's okay.
But we always got something going on. I know there's a church coming up that's having an event, and excuse me, the name of the church has left me, but they're having an event, and I know there's a fall one down in usually Waller's Church. I know that one because it's around the corner for me.
Right.
They usually have an event like in the fall sometime, and we're usually there. So we do a lot of that, and we really enjoy it. And one thing about Sheriff Harris is he's very community oriented, whether it's animal control, patrol, just the sheriff's office in general.
And are people able to get you to come out to their events if they're having?
If we can.
Okay.
Sometimes,
You're busy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we always tell people we'll try to show up if we can, but usually we do. We'll work it out. But yeah, the job's got to come first.
Of course. You got to take care of the animals first. That's
yes, sir. Yes, we got to do that. But we try to do all these community events that we can.
Awesome. Well, I'm speaking with Captain Tydings with the Spotsylvania County Animal Control. Let's go into the shelter a little bit. So, as I understand, I believe Spotsylvania County Animal Control, is it a no-kill facility? And if so, what does that mean for those who may not know?
Okay. What that means is we do not euthanize for space, but we do unfortunately have to euthanize for several reasons. One, for sick or injured.
Yep.
We have to make those calls. Also, for vicious and dangerous dogs. We've got some dogs that come in and are signed over to us, and we just cannot release them back out to the community because it's a safety issue.
Right.
Those decisions are tough, but sometimes we have to make those. But we are not going to euthanize an animal because we don't have room. We'll make room somehow. And we've got a lot of fosters. We've got a lot of rescues and all to assist us because we can't do it by ourselves. And we have volunteers. So we make do. We are full most of the time, but we make sure that these animals are taken care of, and they will stay with us as long as they need to, as long as they don't get sick or aggressive.
Of course. And I was actually just about to ask you about that foster program. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Well, yes, our foster program, if you live in our county, we got to keep it local.
Okay.
And there is a application to fill out, and our shelter assistants can help them with that, and they can foster a dog. And we like to it'd be no more than a couple weeks unless they decide they want to adopt it. And that's usually what happens. They'll foster this dog and say, it's a good fit for us, we want to adopt, and we let them adopt it.
Okay.
Or they'll say, it's not really a good fit for us, or said, I don't want to adopt the dog, but I want to foster a dog every now and then.
Okay.
But usually when they foster, they're fostering to adopt.
Okay.
Which is always a good thing, because if it doesn't work out, then they just bring it back.
Right.
And they can foster again if they like.
And those dogs get attached easily.
Oh, absolutely. Some people will not tend to adopt and say, I just can't bring it back, so I'm going to adopt the dog, which is a good thing.
Which always works out well in the end.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, are there any requirements to become a foster family?
Yes. You got to make sure you've never been convicted of cruelty, of course, and that's for anything. And make sure you have the adequate space for the dog. If you're going to take it home and foster and tie it out to a doghouse, that's not a good thing for a foster. To make sure you have enough space and time to deal with the dog.
Okay.
Sometimes it's hard for people when you got two people working all day long and things like that. So you want to make sure you're going to have enough time for the animal, especially a new one, because it's going to take some time.
And what about family dynamic? Do you suggest fostering if you have other animals in the household, kids?
It depends on the dog. And a lot of times, like if you're going to adopt from us and you have dogs, we'll ask you to bring it in. We want to see how they act.
Okay.
If we've got dogs that we know are not good with children or other animals, it is marked, and we'll let you know that. And if you say, I have another dog, said, this is not the dog for you, let's find something else.
Okay.
Or you got a dog that does not like cats. That happens a lot. And if they have cats, we said, well, you don't want this dog, let's find another dog for you. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good to know for anybody who's wondering or who wants to become a foster family as well.
Absolutely.
Go to that website, check out all that information that we just talked about.
Absolutely. They can contact our shelter and they'll explain everything to them.
Now, let's speak about adoptions at this point. What's the process, and is there a cost for the adoptions?
Yeah, the cost is $85 for dogs and $55 for cats, and that includes the rabies shot and the spay or neuter.
Oh, wow, okay.
So that's a very good deal. Absolutely. And again, we make sure that the dog is going to be, or cat is going to be compatible, meaning what I just said earlier about do they get along with kids or other dogs or things like that. Also, if you rent, you need permission from the landlord, so we'll need a letter. And if you own, you don't. So there are things like that we'll make sure. If you've had, of course, any animal cruelty, but any other animal violations that have been convictions, that could go against you depending on what it is. But most of the time, it's easy to adopt.
Okay. And the process is just, first off, as you said earlier, make an appointment. That's the best way to do it.
That's the best way to do it, and find an animal that you're interested in, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Our shelter staff is very good about showing the animals and saying, I think this dog would be a good fit for you, or I don't think this dog would be a good fit for what you're telling me. Let's check out this one, that kind of thing.
Okay. And can you give me that website one more time for anyone?
It is www.spotsylvania.va.us.
Perfect. And I'm speaking with Captain Tydings here, Spotsylvania County Animal Control. Now, I know the next question I want to ask is, how can the community get involved? Does the shelter accept volunteers? Are there ways to donate? I know it's a big process.
Not really. If you want to be a volunteer, just go on our website, the Sheriff's Office website, and fill out a volunteer application. You do have to go through the application process.
Of course.
As far as donations, of course, money is always good.
Of course.
However, newspapers, blankets, toys, especially at Christmas time, we get a lot of donations. The Kong balls, you name it, we'll take it. Cat trees for our cat rooms and things like that. So anything that you'd like to donate, we'll take.
And I think that's important to mention. You had mentioned around Christmas time you get the most donations in, but it's important to remember throughout the year you still need those things.
Absolutely, towels, blankets, that kind of thing, and newspapers for the cats.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And Anything you want the community to know about the Spotsylvania County Animal Control before we head on out of here?
Just that I think they're very fortunate to have the department that they have. We've got great support from the sheriff and the command staff, and we are out here to serve the community and the animals. And if they ever need our assistance or have any questions, just give us a call and we'll try to assist.
Well, Captain Tydings, thank you so much for coming in today and speaking about the Spotsylvania County Animal Control.
You're welcome.
I'm excited to hopefully see a lot more animals get adopted. Hopefully we can help out in the community, get you those newspapers, blankets, all of that stuff as well.
Sounds good.
And I look forward to having you back.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.